When he came to the other side of the country of the Gadarenes, 2 demoniacs coming out of the tombs met him. They were so fierce that no one could pass that way. Suddenly they shouted, "What have you to do with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" Now a large herd of swine was feeding at some distance from them. The demons begged him, "If you cast us out, send us into the herd of swine." And he said to them, "Go." So they came out and entered the swine, and suddenly the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and perished in the water. The swineherds ran off, and on going into the town, they told the whole story about what had happened to the demoniacs. Then the whole town came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they begged him to leave their neighborhood. And after getting into a boat, he crossed the water and came to his own town. We've got the demoniac, which is a possessed person coming out of a tombs while he was walking along, I guess, and they come out of the tomb. They were living in the tombs because they're possessed by demons, if you like. And they were fierce, so nobody could pass that way. So they were obviously vicious people. And they saw Jesus, and they obviously identified him as the Son of God. He says, "Have you come here to torment us before the time?" And I guess the time means the time of reckoning, or whatever that refers to. And now the swine, it's interesting. There's a large herd of swine feeding with swine herds, because they're dirty animals in Jewish religion, which Jesus was. So he would have considered those pigs to be unclean beasts, and that, I would imagine, is something that the Gadareans might not have a problem with pigs. They might eat pork, and that's why there's a herd of swine being tended by swine herds, which you probably wouldn't find in Judea, because of the Jewish disregard of pork. So there's a sort of interesting, it is in a foreign country and a foreign land that has a different set of values to the Jews, and he meets a couple of demoniacs who then he exorcises the demons out of them into a herd of pigs, and they all rush down into the sea and drown. So it's an exorcism, I guess, in a way, and a destruction of unclean swine, which then the whole town disliked intensely, because he probably killed a lot of very valuable pigs and saw him as killing all the pigs, so they begged him to leave. I don't know. I don't know what that's saying, other than exercising demons into pigs. And
we're in the section of the text that's talking all about his miracles.
Yeah.
So I think it's just another miracle story.
Yeah.
As we've just read, that this is bringing the prophecy of Isaiah to the case, to the forefront, someone that can heal people. So I think it's just another example. Because these are
demoniacs.
Because the gospel is lots of individual stories gathered together. So it's just cataloguing it. I think it's because of how huge an event it was. Imagine if you saw 2,000 pigs go crazy and run into the sea and kill themselves after a man claimed to have just got a spirit out of someone. That's worth recording. That would have got around. So I think it's just a major event.
Okay, I'd go with that then.
I know what you mean.
It's not like the storm on the sea.
No,
there's a definite strong message in that.
Yeah, there's not. I can't find a moral lesson in there, but it's the thing that was interesting to me was the mindset of the demons. If we just buy into the story for a moment, that these people are. When I read that, it said 2 demoniacs coming out of tombs met him. My first thought was a sort of 2 crazy homeless people with mental illness, shouting and screaming and obviously in pain. As we've mentioned before, it could be a jargon for mental illness, but and daring God in a very aggressive way of, what have you come here? Are you here to torment us before judgment time, and it's sort of an aggressive defense, because they know their time's coming, essentially, and so they're fronting up to him. But then they beg him, so they kind of realize they're done for, I suppose, and they say, well, if you cast us out, send us into swine. And I'm wondering if that's a sort of metaphor of we don't want to be healed and we don't want to die because we know we don't think the afterlife will be kind to us. They're sort of trying to cling on to whatever they can of the material world. And you made the point of swines being unclean in the Jewish tradition. So it's like I would want to live the dirtiest life possible just so I'm still in the material world, rather than either give myself up to God or death.
I guess if you believe in demons, and this is how it's recorded, then if a demon leaves a body, it dies, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's the mindset.
It has to possess something, so perhaps it has to possess a pig.
Yeah.
As the best, because he's not going to be able to jump to another person, because Jesus wouldn't let it jump to another person. So he's got the negotiation is jump to the pig.
I think I saw it as sort of trying to cling on to the material world and the broken world.
Or is it a trick by Jesus? Yeah, go and live in the pig, and now I'll send you all into the water.
Could be. Well, it does. I don't think it says that
that he does that.
Jesus does it. And that's the next question: is why on earth are all the pigs going crazy and running into the water? Like the thing with a lot of the Bible is the Gospels were written for accounts of what Jesus did, and then a lot of the books after it are a lot of scribes and teachers and prophets trying to figure out what the heck all of this actually meant. A lot of the scholarly work is done after the events. So this is the sort of event where that happens and you see that and you go, what the heck was that? And then you spend 2,000 years trying to figure it out. Another interesting part, though, was at the end, the swineherds aren't happy about this. They've just lost all their stock. They
probably don't consider the pigs to be unclean, you see.
Yeah.
So what he's done, he's sacrificed their pigs for the sake of two people.
Yeah, and then the neighbourhood comes and beg him to leave, which to me is a sort of element of you're not always going to be welcome with your Christian values. But then the other thing is he does actually leave. Jesus doesn't say, no, I'm staying and you're going to live my life. He leaves, and that ties into another passage where he says to his disciples, if you're not welcome, leave that town and kick the dust off your shoes. So there are a few Christian principles in there, but yeah, that is a heck of a story, deep with symbolism, and I can imagine people being around him going, what the heck was all that? But I see that as a mindset within a demon, or if you want to be more materialist, someone of our world who's sort of selfish and clinging to the material world. You see,
I have to be, and I'm sorry if this offends anybody watching, that I know that people do take the Bible literally and absolutely, but I have a difficulty believing this passage. I have difficulty believing that demons jump from people into pigs and then run down a hill and all die in a lake. I mean, Jesus could I would imagine has the power to do that, but it all seems a bit I'm a house of horror for me. This, everything else that I read in the Bible, almost apart from the Old Testament, he's sort of sending a message and showing a positive way forward. This passage for me sort of sticks out as where's that come from? And this is where I sort of mistrust a little bit our own scribes over the years that have brought these things into the Bible. So my personal take on it is I'm not that impressed with that. Sorry if it offends anybody. Don't mean to.
Yeah, you're right. It does feel a bit different from everything else we've read. I remember I read this in a Bible group in America, and they were much more devout than I was. And we read
if you take it literally, he's cast out demons, and
what I was going to say was we sat around and read it, and as I said, they were more devout than I was.
Yeah.
But then when it was finished, we all went, what the heck is
What
that?
was that about?
So even devout people, I think, will wonder what that was. But to me, again, I just looked for the metaphors within it.
Yeah.
And I see it as an argument you could be having with an ungodly person that favours the material world. Because they're sort of begging for life of any kind, even if it's in a dirty animal. It could be that it's something beyond our comprehension, like a UFO sighting. It's just, it's such a crazy series of events that might not even be linked together.
No.
That
I could see where that sort of passage would be real fodder for a theologian from, say, Oxford or Cambridge, and they'd make lots of airy-fairy stuff about that.
Yeah.
But I generally, you see, when I read the Bible and I read about Jesus and our faith, to me it all seems very simple. It's all pretty basic. It's not that you don't have a degree in theology to understand Jesus, what he's about and what he was doing. And I would worry that anybody that tried to explain that, I'd explain it into some complicated nonsense. I've heard that sort of stuff before,
Well, there's also, it reads like a fictitious story. A lot of the New Testament, a lot of the Gospel, one of the reasons that it's a boring read is because it's actually a historical account of events.
Yeah,
so it's a
and you're
documentary.
saying that's a recorded event, aren't
So
you?
these are, it's almost like this is a documentary, and all of a sudden we now have a little movie, because the way it's laid out is very much like a story, the structure of it. And the reason why is because there's a hint of irony, which is that he makes a deal with these demons to go into the swine, and then all the swine go crazy and run off into the... So it's almost like the bad guys are getting their just desserts. So there's an element of...
Oh, I see.
There's an element of story in it, rather than just a fictitious account. It reads like a myth, and I think that's why there's an element of falsehood to it, because it feels like it's too good to be true. It's a story. It's got, the bad guys get their just desserts, which, by the way, isn't really the story of the gospel, because, for a lot of it, it's the good guys getting hurt.
All demons living amongst swine will always perish.
Yeah, so it reads like a very old myth rather than a historical account. But I read it like a UFO sighting where a bunch of crazy stuff happened. You couldn't not put that in the Bible. That would have been talked about everywhere. Oh my God, did you hear about these 2,000 pigs that went on a stampede? And so maybe that's one to read up on and see what others have said. But that's a crazy story to end on, I think.
Interesting, man.
Was there anything within it, even if you don't take the whole thing as gospel, was there anything within it that you kind of went, oh, I kind of see that? Was there anything that came out of it?
Yeah, I think the thing that I saw that came out of it was that a demon, if you like, whether that be a person that was possessed or a demon in its spiritual form or whatever, can try and hide in an unclean animal or swine or another person that's evil or sinning, and it's saying that you can't hide, you can't get away.
Yeah.
Even though if you hide in the dirtiest depths of the world, your time will come. So they might have felt safe in a bunch of pigs.
That's good. Yeah, I know, I see that.
Weren't.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So therefore, that you're evil. If you're evil and your evil deeds, you will not hide from God.
Yeah.
You will always be sought out.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, what I could take from that as a fable, not a fable, a parable, if you like. Yeah.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, you can't outrun God, I suppose, as well.
No.
Yeah, that is good.
And you can't do a deal to get away from God.
That's a good point. Yeah, he's trying to make a deal with Jesus, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which is the sort of thing the devil would do, make a deal.
No deals to be done.
Yeah, that's good.
What's right's right and what's wrong's wrong.